When we talk about the seller's disclosure statements, we typically look at it from the seller's point of view. What do they need to disclose? When are they required to update the seller's disclosure form? Which sellers are exempt? How about we look at the seller's disclosure from the buyer's point of view? Hi, Realtor Jeff Rising here, and today we're going to talk about what the home buyer should be aware of when it comes to the Seller's Disclosure Act. Buyers should understand how and to what extent they can rely on the representations made in a seller's disclosure statement. Let's review the basic rules that you should be aware of. First, the sellers have no obligation to volunteer all relevant information about the property. A seller's only obligation is to honestly answer the specific questions in the seller's disclosure statement. If a buyer or buyer's agent has questions about the property which are not covered by the seller's disclosure form, they need to ask the seller directly. Second, the seller's disclosure statement is not a warranty of any kind. If it turns out that the information is false, the buyers will have no claim unless they can prove that the seller knew the information was false. And third, it is not always the case that a buyer can terminate a purchase agreement if the buyer can show that one of the representations in the disclosure form is false. The seller's only duty is to amend the disclosure statement in the event of changes to the structural, mechanical, or appliance items. As to the other items, it is only necessarily that the seller believed that the representations were accurate at the time the disclosure was filled out and signed. It's also important that you rely upon your pre-sale home inspection for a clear picture of the condition of the home. Your home inspection is supposed to find hidden defects that the seller was not aware of. Therefore, they could not disclose since they didn't know about it. There was a court case recently in Michigan where a home buyer tried to sue the seller after closing for $120,000 in needed repairs because some of the issues found were not disclosed on the seller's disclosure statement. Bad news, the court threw the case out. All of the issues they were trying to sue the seller for were discovered during the home inspection period. The court said they could not sue the seller for those items even though they were not disclosed accurately because they could not prove the seller was aware and because all of the issues that were pointed out by the home inspector prior to closing. So to sum it up, the seller is only obligated to disclose what they know. For example, if they haven't looked in their attic in 10 years and they don't know that there's mold in the attic, well then they certainly can't disclose it, right? Because they don't know about it. Also, a home buyer should rely on the home inspection over what the seller discloses. Do not waive your home inspection under any circumstances. I hope you found this information helpful. If so, please share it and tag a friend. And of course, go to therisingteam.com to start your home search today.